A couple weeks ago, we got our first official update on LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga since earlier this year back in May. As most of you probably know by now, this game is no stranger to large gaps of time between updates, as they're roughly 5 months apart on average. And now that we have a new delayed release window of spring 2021, we should expect another several month gap for the next update, which would push it to releasing sometime very late this year or early next year. In full honesty, I don't expect the marketing for this game to drastically increase until several months before release, so early next year is when we should begin to see more regularly consistent updates and social media posts about the game. Until that time though, I'm sure a lot of you are rather curious as to why the game has been delayed, as well as what progress has been made throughout the past year or so, and in today's video, I think I might have some answers to that. You could argue that the Skywalker Saga may have been announced too early, but nobody really could have predicted the way that this year has played out thus far. I do believe though that WB Games and TT Games severely underestimated the amount of time that they need to make this game successful and as faithful to the Star Wars universe as possible. Since we've only really seen numerous screenshots and 3 official trailers to this date, there's not a lot of footage to compare to one another, but in the most recent trailer that was revealed at Gamescom just a few short weeks ago, you may have missed a scene that we previously saw from the second trailer. The scene I'm referring to takes place at the end of the second trailer, where R2-D2 fixes the hyperdrive on the Millennium Falcon, as Lando and Chewbacca then make the jump to hyperspace towards the end of Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. In the most recent trailer, we saw this exact scene, only shortened, as the Falcon jumps to hyperspace before transitioning into the Death Star final duel scene. Overall, it's a very quick blink and you'll miss it piece of footage, but the difference in graphics compared to the original from late 2019 are substantial. Right now, I have both of the images on screen and labeled with their release date, but overall the 2020 version looks more completed and polished, and a lot of that has to do with the lighting of the scene. The original 2019 version is very dull in comparison and lacks a lot of color intensity and contrast, and in some cases is even more detailed than the 2020 version, specifically when looking at the details of Lando's cape. It's fairly easy to see that in terms of composition, everything is the same, as none of the consoles or figures have actually moved, but there's been a lot more added detail in terms of highlights and shadows, especially with the hyperspace design and the blue streaks of light, not to mention that the stars in the back are more visible as well. If you're still having trouble noticing at this point the differences, it's pretty easy to see the differences when comparing the texturing of Lando's hairpiece or even the brightness of the seating. By fixing the lighting in this scene, it appears to be more realistic to what we expect to see from the physical bricks in real life, and overall just adds more pop to the game itself. Now, it took me a while to notice that both of these images are from the same scene, but shown in 2 different trailers at different points of the game's development, but for those who are frustrated with the game's delay, just keep these images in mind. Personally, I would much rather wait for the Skywalker Saga to release until everything looks near perfect, instead of having the game released this year with the 2019 graphics. As a wise man once said, a delayed game is eventually good, but a rushed game is forever bad. Even though the differences in the graphics from 2019 compared to 2020 are promising, I should also point out in this video that there were also some major flaws in the trailer as well. Most of those have to deal with placeholder characters, such as the Phase 2 clones on Mustafar instead of the Shock Troopers, or the Phase 1 clones on Utapau during the General Grievous boss fight. So even though there has been some major progress on the game, it's still clearly in development at this point, which is good news honestly. There were some rumors floating around a few weeks back that the game may be finished at this point due to an updated code on Steam, but I highly doubt that this is the case based on this evidence. Let me know what you all make of this though, and if you happen to catch that TT Games showed the exact same scene twice, but at different stages of development. Are you bothered by the game's delay until spring of 2021, or are you content with a decision such as myself? If you want to stay up to date with all the latest Skywalker Saga news and updates, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, and with that said, that's going to close today's video. Thanks for watching everyone, have a great day, and I'll see you on the next update.